everybody. How you doing, Country Music Cruise? Good afternoon. You made it. You made it. You made it. Here we are on day number 1. By round of applause, who was here last year? Who joined us last year? Then you got to hear last year's day 1 All Access Pass do nothing but make fun of this year's All Access Pass. We'll ask him about that in just a moment. Let's get right to it. Obviously, the All Access Pass is the TV interviews that we do each and every single year, and we like spontaneity. So I'm going to count to 3. You're going to go crazy, and we're going to start the show. All right, spontaneity is key here. So let's get this fired up, and let's get this man out here. On the count of 3, the audience goes crazy. 1, 2, 3. Thank you so kindly, everybody, and welcome to All Access Pass. I'm your cruise host, Jason, and it is an honor to have you all with us. Today, we are going to be sitting down with a legend, a man who's only with us for the day. So we had to get his interview in right now. Do me a favor, as loud and as proud as we can, please welcome out Larry the Cable Guy.
Well, look at you guys. How you doing, Lorianne Crook?
Yeah.
You have really changed your looks.
Well, she's trying to appeal to the regular man out there.
That's right. Thanks. Hey, everybody. How are you? Yeah, you like this? This is my Bob Mackie shirt. Same fella does Carol Burnett's clothes, does mine.
I appreciate you dressing up for it. That's important.
Well, it's the cruise. That's right. Look at everybody. Everybody looks 10 pounds fatter than when they got on here.
It's a cruise ship. It's a rite of passage.
I know, right? You got the after buffet, and then you got the midday buffet.
Then you got the nap between the buffet.
That's right. Hey, I know what it's like.
So we were chatting a little bit backstage, and you were saying you actually worked a cruise ship or two back in the good old days.
Back in the day, I got when I was coming up through the ranks, they asked me if I wanted to do a cruise ship. So I got on Monday. And after my initial puking 19 times, we ended up having some good shows. But I was 27 pounds lighter. I was the only guy that lost weight on a cruise. That would be me. Yeah, but they're fun. I actually, I went on the Disney cruise, the Fantasy.
Yep.
It was the initial launch of the Fantasy. Funny story about that, too. We just got done doing the movie Cars 2.
We can acknowledge that. Come on, that was a big one. Yeah, come on now.
We just got done doing it. And how I got that part was, you're probably coming to the show tonight, but I'll probably tell this tonight. But I got that part because John Lasseter said he'd been through hundreds of celebrities and voiceover people, and he could not find the voice for that tow truck. And so he had one day to go. He picked up a Blue Collar CD, and he heard me do the joke about, well, my horse broke its leg, and I had to shoot it, and now it's got a broke leg and a gunshot wound. And I guess I'll have to shoot it again. And so he said, that's my tow truck, right? So I get there, and I'm all nervous. It's Pixar and Disney, and I'm like, oh, my gosh, I'm a hurl. And he put me in the box there. He showed me around, and he put me in this little glass box, and all the people from Pixar there with notes, and they're sketching my facial expressions. And he says, the first line I ever did was, my name's Mater, like Tom Mater without the tuh. And I'm nervous, and I said, John, how do you want me to play Mater? Is he kind of a timid little truck? And he goes, well, he's you. He's you. Just be you. I'm like, well, all right. And he said, now, look, if I make you do it 5 or 6 times, don't think you're doing it wrong. We just get a lot of takes because we don't know which one we'll use. I said, okay. He said, don't be nervous. We'll be fine. I said, all right. So he said, just be me. So I said, I'll just be me. So he did his line. He pointed at me, and I looked at the script, and the first time I just go, hey, my name's Mater, like Tom Mater without the tuh. Right? And then he started laughing. He goes, all right, we got it. Move on. I'm like, man, that's fantastic. That's awesome.
That's a wrap. We're good here.
Yeah, so when we get on that cruise ship, which, by the way, my wife and kids went on, and the kids had a blast, and my wife and I, stayed in bed the whole time because we was dizzy. And Oh my gosh, I can't handle it. I'm a sissy. But he says to me, which I thought was odd, and every time I see him, we laugh about this because he couldn't believe he asked me to do it. But he said, go up there to where the captain is and take the microphone and tell him I said for you to do a ship's announcement. And it's going to go everywhere, the bathrooms, the kitchens, everybody's going to hear it. And as Mater, tell everybody thanks for coming on the cruise ship. And then have Mater introduce you, and you tell everybody thanks for coming to your show. And I thought, well, that's kind of weird, but all right. I'm Mater, so it's kind of... So here's how the announcement went that night. Hey, everybody, this is Mater, like Tom Mater without the tuh. Boy, I tell you what, I'm happier than a tornado in a trailer park that you come on this fantasy cruise and shoot. Dadgum, if you ever get to Radiator Springs, you and me will do us some backward driving. Don't forget, you and me, we's best friends. Now, here's my buddy Larry the Cable Guy to say something to you. Hey, everybody, this is Larry the Cable Guy. And it's ridiculous. It's the same voice.
Yeah, right. By the way, you're going to make our sail away announcement tonight before we leave. Yeah.
Right. But those movies were fun. I'm glad you saw it. And Cars 2 was one of my favorites. Cars 2 was one of my favorites because that was one of the only movies I've done with a 2 after it. So I used to do a
Second
joke
one's
about,
tough to get to. Yeah.
I did a movie one time. It was called Witless Protection.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I was on the Tonight Show, and I said, Jay, this movie's very unique. Because, you know, it gets released on Tuesday, and the DVD comes out on Tuesday, and well, it was in the theater, so I said the DVD comes out on Tuesday. And you know how a lot of people, to make you buy the DVD, they'll put an alternate ending in the movie? We've gone further. We've put an alternate movie in the DVD show. I used to love those doggone shows. You know, I got to tell you, people always ask me, because I did 26 Tonight shows, right? With Jay Leno.
Just a couple, yeah.
So he would always put me on with a guest that was kind of opposite, you know? And I remember one time, I can't remember her name, doggone it. She plays always, what was her name? She's a British actress.
That narrows it down.
Very prim and proper. Kate Winslet.
Oh.
So I'm on with Kate Winslet. So I come out, you know, dressed like, you know, whatever. And I'm doing jokes, and she just sitting there. The audience is laughing. She is not doing anything. She just staring straight ahead. And I'm thinking, well, what the hell? You know? So I do a joke to Jay, and I go, hey, Jay, you ain't going to believe what happened to me last week. I was in Las Vegas, and my toilet wouldn't flush. And I couldn't figure out why, and I took off the back of the toilet lid. You ain't gonna believe what was in there. David Blaine. Holding his breath in there, right? And everybody's laughing, and she's stone-faced. And so I go like this. I do a double take. I go, there's Jen, I go, huh. You believe that, Winslet? You believe that? David Blaine holding his breath in my turd tank. And I said that, the look of horrification came on her face. So, and I did it just to mess with her. Cause
she
couldn't
was like, lower herself.
Yeah, she could, you know what. I know, right? Thank you, good night. All right, thank you so much
that's it. We're done.
for coming out here. Are you having a good time on the cruise? It's fun, right?
They've been on it for all of 6 hours, so they're...
Now, where's your first stop?
Yeah, we got St. This is all aboard.
Where's the second stop?
St. Thomas.
St. Thomas.
St. Thomas, then San Juan, then the private island, then back to Florida.
The private island.
Yeah.
Oh, y'all going to Epstein's place, are you? Wow, what in the world? You may take a lawyer with you if you go down there.
I'm pretty sure he's there, so. Yeah.
Be very careful on that private island. There's a lot of weird stuff going on down there.
So before we go down that path, let's before both of us aren't invited back to the country music cruise, tell me a little bit about the blue collar comedy tour.
Oh man, did y'all see the blue collar comedy tour?
Yeah.
That was so much fun. You know, Jeff Foxworthy and I've been friends since 1986. We used to go to, we're big Atlanta Braves
We wouldn't
fans.
know it by all the things he said about you last year.
Oh,
by the
I'm
way.
sure he had a lot to say.
He had a lot to inform us about
But
Larry.
we're buddies. We got our own satellite radio station on Sirius, Jeff and Larry's Comedy Roundup. And I've known Jeff since '86, and I love him so much. And we're like that, and that's me on top. And but he's just so kind. He's like my adopted brother. Now, the other guys, Bill Engvall, when I joined that tour, I'm kind of like the Ringo Starr, Blue Collar. I wasn't an original member. They had another guy on there, but he was not blue collar or country or anything. And so they wanted to replace him with somebody that was more blue collar. And I grew up on a pig farm in southeast Nebraska. And then I moved to Florida when I was 15. So, you know, been hanging out with Florida crackers for the last 40 years. And so I went up to audition for this. I think they'd done 7 shows. And I went to Columbia, South Carolina, which is, you know, that's my market. And but Jeff wanted the other guys to see me, and I'd never met Bill Engvall my entire life. I knew who he was. I didn't know him personally. And Ron White I'd only seen twice, you know, helping him get in his car. And it's the only time I ever met him. And he's got a heart of gold too, old Ron. And so I went up and auditioned, and I got it, the other part there. And it was such a special time, man. That was, you know, that's one of those things that only happens once in a, it's got to be the perfect timing for a show like that. And I don't think there'll ever be anything like it. I mean, it broke all kinds of records.
I was going to say, you guys set a lot of records in comedy.
We still hold the attendance record at the arena in Nashville. Yeah. Taylor Swift didn't beat us. Garth Brooks didn't beat us. I mean, it's pretty cool. So that was just a lot of fun. And we quit doing it after 3 because we all started just doing other projects. And, of course, for a while I toured with Ron on a couple of dates. And then Bill and I did a thing together. Then Bill and I did Them Idiots for about a year and a half. And then Jeff and I went out and did Jeff and Larry's Backyard Barbecue tour for a year and a half. Such a good time doing that. So those are real good memories. I don't think that'll ever be duplicated. They called us the Redneck Rat Pack.
Redneck Rat Pack, yeah.
And that was a lot of fun.
Why was it so successful?
Well,
Why
I think
did
it
it
was
hit so
successful because...
outside of the obvious talent, I mean, what was it that made it unique?
Oh, well, I'm not that talented.
I meant the other guys. Yeah.
No, you know what? I just think it was successful because we're regular guys. I mean, I grew up on a pig farm in southeast Nebraska. I never dreamed all of this would have happened to me. You know, I wanted to be a cattle auctioneer and a potbelly hog hauler driver. That's what I wanted to do. And my best friend, Marty Hill in Coffeyville, Oklahoma, he is an auctioneer, and we both grew up the same next to the cattle barns. And every now and then, I'm getting off topic, but every now and then, I've always wanted to auction. So every now and then, these charity auctions, I'll get up, and the auctioneer will be like, I need $25. Do you have $25? Can we get this to 30? And I'll go, get out the way, let a real auctioneer up there. And I'll go, what do you get for? 25, I would have been not high. 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 Now 39, not high. Yep, 25. So I love doing that. And then I get tired, and it turns out like this. 26, 27, 28. But I think auctioneers are funny because my buddy Marty Hill does this every time. He doesn't even realize he does it. But auctioneers, it's something about numbers. They cannot not be an auctioneer when they talk numbers. This is a true story. My buddy Marty Hill got a new pair of shoes the other day, new pair of boots, ostrich boots. I loved them. I said, hey, Marty, how much were them boots? Right? He goes, $675 now, $675. That's exactly what he said. And he was
look
dead
behind
serious.
You're trying to figure out who the hell are you talking to?
He was dead serious. But I think blue collar work because honestly, we're just regular dudes. We got families, we got kids. We're funny and we love doing comedy. We like making people laugh. But once it's over with, we go back to the house and we got our families. And I mean, Jeff's on the tractor all the time, planting food plots for his deer. And I bought into a sale barn there in Beatrice, Nebraska. And I go down and load cattle trucks and hog trucks, and because I love doing it. It's always fun when it ain't a job. But as a hobby, I enjoy it. But I think it was we're just regular guys, and we were always very approachable. We didn't act like, oh, we're these big celebrities. We're just kind of normal guys, you know. And I always get irritated sometimes. People will go, I'll see them saying something about me or Jeff or Bill, and go, oh yeah, these guys act like they're all these redneck guys, and they got all this money, and they're trying to Pollyanna their base. It's like, you know what? Just because somebody has gone out and excelled in their field and have made some money, and it doesn't mean they've forgotten where they came from. I mean, it's unbelievable how that is. I don't, you know, we're the same. You can ask any one of our friends, we're all exactly the same as we were before we ever started doing stand-up. This is just something that we do for a living, and we enjoy it.
That's a testament, though, because it can change you. Money can change people.
It can change you, but you know, I think the greatest song Leonard Skinner ever wrote. By the way, Molly Hatchet. I was going to hire a Molly Hatchet tribute band for a party I was having at my house, but they were too expensive, so I ended up getting Molly Hatchet. So.
I'd love to say you're wrong, but...
But Leonard Skinner, one of the favorite songs that they ever wrote, it's a B-side of something. And man, what in the world's the name of that? But he talks about, it's called Am I Losing? You ever heard that song?
Absolutely.
It's one of my favorite Leonard Skinner songs.
We had him on a cruise last year.
And he was going through this rough time because his friends, he couldn't figure out what was up with his friends. And he wrote a whole song about, is there something wrong with me? Why are my friends acting weird around me? Why are these people? And he's really thinking, have I gotten to be a complete douche, you know? And then at the last verse, he realizes he hasn't changed a bit. It's just certain people in his life, they changed around him. We're the same. If anybody thinks that we changed, it's not our problem, it's their problem, because we're exactly the same. I don't do anything different than I ever did before, you know?
Clearly. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, see me? I'm dressed to the nines. Nothing on me cost over $9. That's right.
And we were chatting a little bit about it backstage. There was a unique camaraderie between the four of you because not only were you guys obviously individually great, you all sat in different roles within the show.
We did.
You know, you kind of appealed to the same people, but some unique niche people in there as well.
Yeah, I think that's what helped make it work too, because Jeff, Ron, and Bill are fantastic storytellers, especially Jeff. And Ron White can make anything funny.
Absolutely.
He really can, you know. And when he's not slurring the words, he's fantastic at a lot of, you know. But I took him fishing one time, and we were going to eat lunch. He ended up drinking the lunch, so we couldn't even. But, you know, they were great storytellers. And then when I came along, I've always been a fan of the old one-liner comedians. You know, I love Charlie Callis, and I like Milton Berle and Henny Youngman. And those are guys, Howie Mandel, and Make Me Laugh.
Borscht Belt. It's that Borscht Belt
I
style
love that
comedy,
stuff.
yeah.
I always loved the boom-ch. I love that kind of humor. So that's how I write my jokes. So when I got on there, I was a one-liner guy. So when we would tell stories at the end, if we needed to transition into another story, they would say something that reminded me of a joke, and I would tell the joke, and then I'd tell another joke, which would lead into the story he was going to tell. So it really, I always like to say I was kind of like the putty, you know, that you put in the cracks.
Absolutely.
You know, so I think that's why it worked pretty good. It was just, you know, it was awesome. And, you know, we kept it pretty PG-13 so everybody could see it. We all have different acts, you know. Jeff is pretty squeaky, and Bill's not too bad. Ron's good. He's done a complete 180.
Ron edges a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, when we went out on the road and did our shows, you know, people pretty much got to see what you saw on stage. And Ron's one of the funniest guys on the planet.
I absolutely agree.
On the planet. But his act now is not really what it was then. I mean, he'll admit, hey, I had 30 minutes of clean material. That's all I had. And I did it on blue collar.
That was it. Yeah,
so if you come see Ron, it's going to be 180. And he'll tell you that. But he's hilarious. And so, you know, I love now. My act, I was always kind of like, people say I was always like Jeff's dirty little brother. You know, my act was like Jeff's, only I threw in a little bit more, you know, a little bit R-rated material. Yeah. But it was never really over the line, you know.
No, I mean, the success of it you can't be that successful by appealing to a narrow selection of people. You have to
No.
be able to appeal to a broad range. And whether you love or don't love dirty comedy or blue
Right.
comedy, everybody can. Funny doesn't have to be dirty necessarily.
No, not
you
at
guys,
all.
I think you're
But
a great testament to
here's
it.
the hard thing about doing comedy. Everybody's tastes are different.
Yeah.
What's dirty to one person may not be dirty to
That's
somebody
subjective,
else.
completely.
It's very subjective. Like, I do stupid sixth grade humor, basically. It's like I did a joke. I don't know if you remember the joke I used to do about, my sister's got one boob bigger than the other, and then she got in a wet T-shirt contest, took first and third place. Now,
That's an all-time great
do
line.
you find that dirty? I don't find it dirty at all. I find it funny. Now, somebody would go, that's horrible doing a breast joke like that.
About your sister.
Yeah, so it's very subjective. So
How do you? What about Larry the Cable Guy now? Obviously, you've.
I got a wife and I got 2 kids, so obviously things change, When I was first doing stand-up, anything went. I didn't really care, what I did. I just wanted it to be
Sure.
funny. But then I got married, and then I had kids, and there were some things that they did in my act. I'm like, man, I wish I wouldn't have done that. I got kids, but what can you do? I can't do nothing about it. It is what it is. You kind of grow as you go, So the act now has gotten a little lighter, a little more lightened up a little bit. I never really do any. Well, I'll tell you. For instance, I used to catch a lot of flack, and we'll be a serious moment here. I used to catch a lot of flack because I used to do retarded jokes.
Yeah.
And then I had kids.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ugh, man. And I never realized if I had a kid like that, how would I feel?
Sure.
And it changed my whole attitude about it. So I quit doing it. But I always tell comedians that do it.
I will say good for you though. That's
Yeah, well, here's what I tell comedians that do it. If you want to do it, do it. I don't care. It's fine with me. But you have to not do jokes because you, in your heart, don't want to do them. You can't stop doing a joke that you were doing over pressure from somebody making you stop.
Sure.
Because you're not changing anything. They're still going to do them somewhere. You haven't changed their heart any. You just made them mad at you, and they're going to go do something else. Yeah. I would rather somebody not do jokes because in their heart they feel that it's wrong to do that joke, rather than somebody not do the joke just because they're scared they're going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. So, I think that's kind of a heart change. You have to have a heart change to not do certain jokes like that. But, as far as other things I do, I mean, like that kind of stuff, I don't even mess with it anymore because I got older and I had kids, and I don't think that'd be a good joke to do. So there's certain things that I don't do that I would do, but, I'll still do a titty joke every now and then,
Well, that doesn't upset anybody. And you have a foundation.
I do. It's called the Get Her Done Foundation. My wife and I started it in 2007 or 8. We do tons of stuff with vets. We hook them up with dogs. And then we do stuff with brain trauma and also with children. So basically we focus on kids and vets. Like, for instance, we did the Madonna Rehabilitation Hospital that does stuff with brain injuries in Nebraska. I try to focus on, some of it's national, but I focus on where I live in Nebraska and Florida, because I used to live in Florida. I started in Florida. So, like the Madonna the Madonna Hospital in Orlando, the Arnold Palmer Children's Hospital. So we do a ton of stuff, but since 2008, I think we're getting up close now to $10 million in stuff. So it's been really cool. My little boy was born with hip dysplasia, where his hip is out. Now, it's not cancer, but it's debilitating.
Sure.
But we ran into a doctor that said, look, if only people would treat this in a different way when wrapping their kids, this could be eradicated. We would never have to have hip replacements again if they would just do what I got. So we gave him some money to go down to Mexico and start treating kids for free, and it worked. And so we started the International Hip Dysplasia Institute on the Palmer Children's Hospital for it was $5 million donation.
Oh, that's
and
amazing.
it's named after my little boy. That's the only thing we named anything after us. We always name it after somebody else.
Sure.
But we named that after my little boy because he started it because he had hip dysplasia. And so, man, it's gone international, and we're starting to cure some hips. So it's pretty awesome. It's a pretty
That's
good
very
deal.
cool.
And you know, it's cool. I couldn't have done any of that without fans that came to my shows and bought albums and T-shirts and helped us out. That's all part of y'all too. So, thank you.
You can clap. It's all right. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. And in terms of how often you perform, how many dates do you do a year?
You know what? I lived on a tour bus my whole life. I was on the road 285 days a year. I was one of the first comedians. One of the first. There was probably a couple before me, but I was one of the first comedians that treated comedy like a country music singer. I mean, I was on a tour bus, and I had 2 tour buses, one for me, one for my crew, sound and lights, and we did, Jiminy Christmas, we did probably 120 arenas, 70 theaters, and we were out on
That's
the
a
road
lot.
constantly. We'd go out for 3 months, take 10 days off, go out for 3 months, take 10 days off. Did that for a good solid 10 years. And so I told my wife, once my kids started school, I said, I'm going to slow down because I don't want to miss them growing up. So I only do about 30 shows a year now.
Wow.
And I get up, go out, play star for a night, work out some fun jokes that I thought of, be able to make people laugh, and then go home. And I love to golf.
Yeah.
You know, I spend most of my time golfing now, trying to do that. And you know, you get older, you can't play sports like I like sports. I love baseball. Too fat, can't bend down, so I can't get a ground ball no more. Tried to play basketball with my kid. I went for a rebound, tore my daggone hip flexor, so that was that for that. I can't play sports, but I can play golf. Because you can, in golf, it still challenges me. I'm competitive. So golf gives me a chance to get out, walk, get in shape, you know, walk the courses, look at the beautiful scenery, and work on my game and try to get better. It challenges me. So I do a ton of celebrity golf tournaments, and I enjoy that. You know, Callaway gave me $20,000 last week, charity donation to my organization to stop playing their clubs. And it's
Their clubs specifically, yeah.
So it's been really good. I'm the only guy ever in charity golf to make the Golf Channel and Court TV on the same day. All right, so I'm a heck of a
Something
golfer.
to aspire to.
That's bad. My caddy was throwing clubs. Huh.
You said you got a couple tournaments coming up too.
I do. Oh, so I just finished the Diamond Resorts Invitational here in Orlando. Great tournament. Do a lot of charity stuff up there. They do, and then this will be my 6th year in a row in 2 weeks to do the Pebble Beach Pro-Am, and that's always a lot of fun. And so it's just fun. I just enjoy it. It's something I like to do.
And when you say you do about 30 dates a year, obviously you have to fit them around golf. Are they pop-in, pop-outs? You're saying you're working on.
They're all.
I mean, are you just showing up at the local places, or are you
know,
still doing big headline spots?
You know, it's generally theaters. It's all theaters. I don't do comedy clubs, but it's all. I'll work out my stuff at the comedy clubs, but it's all theaters. I still do a few arenas, but it's mainly theaters, and you know, it's awesome. I mean, it's like my wife. She told me I feel bad that this is so awesome because I go, man, I feel bad because I golf all the time, and when I'm on the road, I go out and I'm away. She goes, well, no, you like to golf, go out. And my wife's awesome, you know, but I feel bad because I have like the greatest, like all booked dates around golf courses. So I'll fly out.
That's what I was getting at, yeah.
I'll fly out on a Friday and I'll do a show. And then I get back on a plane and I fly to my next show. And I get up in the morning and I play 27 holes. And I go backstage and I dress up in my clothes, and I do a show, and I hop on a plane. I get home. I'm back home for church on Sunday, and I played 27 holes and did 2 shows and had a great time. You know, and I feel bad because I got a couple of buddies of mine who are just starting out, and they're packing their cars, and they're driving here and there. And my wife told me, she goes, man, you did that for 30 years. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I've been doing comedy since 1986. So I've been doing it a long time. I wasn't an overnight sensation, I'll tell you that much. I don't think I've ever been a sensation at all, to be honest with you.
Certainly not overnight.
It's certainly not overnight.
And when you
Excuse
got, when you got the call,
I like this guy. Hey, thanks for dressing
he's
up.
dialed in right here. Yeah, he wanted to look like you. Look at him.
That's right. See, that's the cool thing about my show. You just come dress however you want to. All right. Get her done.
Get her dead. Wait, let's go into that for a second. Obviously, your trademark catchphrase. How'd that come about?
I just said it one day on the radio. It was my sign-off. I started on the Ron and Ron show, and I did a character on stage. I did a cable guy character on stage, and my buddy thought it was funny. And I didn't think nothing of it. And he said, you ought to call our radio station and do it. So I just called up one day, and I went, hey, y'all want that cable hooked up there today, or you want to do it tomorrow? They go, well, who is this? I go, it's Cable Guy. What's your first name? I went, Larry. They go, Larry the Cable Guy? That's right, boys. Right? I mean, it was just so ridiculous. And so I did a little spiel, then I went, all right, then, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Get her done. They go, what? I said, get her done. They go, what's that mean? I said, I don't know, whatever you got to do, get her done, I guess. And I would say it every time I signed off, and then I got syndicated on 3 more stations. And then by the time I got done, I was on 27 radio stations doing social commentaries. And I would sign off with Get Her Done, and it just got real popular. And I remember when I got it copyrighted, 1991, I got it copyrighted. I started doing it by 89. And I remember going into a Peaches Records and Tape store in Orlando. And at the time, I was living in West Palm Beach, because that's where I started doing stand-up. But I used to drive to Orlando to the radio station to do stuff. And I used to do bikini contests up there.
Oh, life is hard.
I know.
Yeah,
no, I was in the contest.
Oh, you were, yeah.
And
You won first and third. Yeah.
that's right.
Sorry. Sorry, I don't want to step on.
But I used to go up there all the time, and I went to the Peaches Records and Tapes, and some guy was walking out, and the guy working at the store said, all right, see you tomorrow, get her done. He went, get her done. And I go, wait a minute, that's what I said. And so I go to the guy, go, hey, what's get her done? Where'd you hear that at? He goes, oh, man, this guy comes on the radio. It's hilarious. Larry the Cable Guy does it on WDIZ in Orlando. I go, that's me. I'm Larry the Cable Guy. He goes, get out of here. I go, no, I am. That's my phrase. He goes, let me hear you say it. I went, get her done. And he goes, not even close. Seriously. So I'm like, I better go get this thing copyrighted. So I went and I got it copyrighted and sold T-shirts and hats, and that's how it all started. I mean, it's crazy.
That's awesome.
The Lord works in mysterious ways.
Well,
Boy,
now,
don't he?
and now you're right here on the Country Music Cruise, and tonight these folks are going to get to see you at 6:30 and 9 o'clock here in this theater.
Thank you.
How you feeling about this crowd? And did Jeff give you a call after he did it last year and tell you about it?
No, he didn't give me a call.
Yeah. He let you have it a little bit. I won't lie.
Oh,
won't
I
lie.
know. But he can say what he wants to. Jeff's funny. Jeff, one time, we were during Blue Collar one time. I bought a remote control truck. He did this whole bit about cheese. So he starts this whole thing about cheese, and I pack that back of that thing full of cheese. Right in the middle of his performance. There goes a car out there with cheese. I'll tell you another funny story about Blue Collar. Nobody could ever pronounce Bill Engvall's name. It's egg ball, egg bed, egg something. The weirdest one I ever heard was somebody said, boy, I love that Blue Collar comedy tour. He's talking about my buddy Reno. He goes, what's that? Who was that? It was your guy, Larry Cable Guy, Foxworthy, Ron White, and Frank Viola. What, Frank Mahona? What are you talking about? Seriously. But we had a funny deal one time. Nobody ever, and Bill used to be upset about it, but now he's learned to live with it. But nobody gets it right. Nobody. Even when he did his own special in his hometown, they mispronounced his last name. So on one of our last blue collar shows, I called up there and I told him to change the sign. And we go, nobody knew I did it. We go pulling up there, and on the big jumbo board, it said, tonight, blue collar comedy tour, flashing the Jeff Foxworthy, Larry the Cable Guy, Ron White, that other guy.
You made him stand there until it flashed all the way through, too.
Oh, man, he was mad. Oh.
Well, listen, I could sit here and talk with you all day, and I'm sure
Me
none
too.
of them would be upset by it, but I know you got a show to get to, and these folks got dinner, and you know damn well, no matter how big you are, you don't compete with dinner.
I hear you.
Allow me to say on behalf of all the fine folks here in the theater, and of course all of you watching back in your stateroom TVs, thank you very much for being with us. We appreciate it here on the Country Music
Thank
Cruise.
you,
And I'm
everybody.
looking forward
Thanks.
to tonight. Do me a favor, friends. Let's hear it for Larry, the Cable Guy.
Thanks, you guys. You're done.